Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. Today I want to talk about disappointment because life has a funny way of reminding us about things and we can't always make plans, or sometimes, it's like, well, you have all these big expectations. Let's throw a wrench in that, or like toss it up a little bit. So, I had all these fun expectations or ideas. I don't want to say expectations. I had these ideas of what my summer was going to look like. And I laugh because, wow, did our summer look a little different? I was excited about where we're living. Obviously we have beaches around us, so I love that. And my big one is we have a fire pit now. Where we lived before, there was not allowed to be fires, wood burning fires. So we had to buy a propane fireplace to have a fire. And I don't know, growing up and having a cottage so close and being at my grandma's cottage so often, I loved having fires, the smell of the smoke. Actually, for a while there, I didn't like the smell of smoke, but I was missing it. So I was all excited. We have a fire pit. And I was like, yes, we get to use it. We had like beautiful chairs around it. And I was just so excited. Marshmallows, s'mores, like the works, right? Excited for things. And, I love fireworks. So holidays where fireworks would be going off and things like that, like July 1st, so Canada Day, fireworks, and just everything. And wow, did it shift. So first off, we went through a drought this summer. And in fact, as I'm recording this, we're still in a stage 4 water restriction. So we just don't have a lot of water, and they're making sure we have enough to drink. So it has been crazy. So we had really dry weather from about June. And then I think by the end of June, we had a fire ban. Oh yeah, right after school was over. So I had this idea that on the last day of school, we'd have like this little, family. It was just the kids, my husband and I, and we'd have a fire, maybe invite a few friends around the fire and just, be excited that it was the last day of school. And honestly, I don't think the fire ban came in until after a couple days after that day. But I was looking around and everything was very crunchy. And I'm like, I'm not going to start a fire because everything looked very dried. So anyways, I had these expectations and ideas of what things wanted to look like. And in all honesty, I was disappointed. I was very disappointed that we couldn't have fires. And I was even more disappointed when I found out like the earliest that we'd have a fire most likely was going to be till October. I was like, what? It can't even be like if it rains. Not that that was an issue because it never rained, but I had these ideas, and then when I had them presented in front of me, like, nope, you're not going to be able to have a fire like all summer long. I was very disappointed, very, very disappointed, and that's okay, right? Like we had these ideas. If we always just went through and didn't have like, it's nice to have an idea of what you want your life to look like. Okay, it's really, really nice because if you kind of go around and you don't know what it's going to look like, you don't know really what direction you're going to head in. Like, what am I going to do with my day? I don't know. I don't know what I want, right? Like, but if you have an idea, you can work towards it. So it's okay to be disappointed when something happens that you now no longer can do whatever it was you wanted to do, what you were planning. It's totally okay. For the longest time, I didn't think it was okay. One, to be disappointed, or even like to show my feelings. It's okay. So what happens when our expectations don't match with our experiences? It can be disappointing and frustrating, right? And again, it's okay to feel those disappointments, but it's also important to let it go. You don't have to sugarcoat things though either. Your feelings or your disappointments. Just don't let it swallow you whole and take over your life. That's why it's so important to feel and release them. So this can be really hard for me because as a person that used to fake my emotions, pretend to be happy when I wasn't, I was always looking for a good instead of the bad. Always. The thing is, if you don't look at the bad, or at least not the great feelings, like when you're not feeling great, it doesn't mean that they're not there. It means that you're not dealing with them. Like just because we don't, like I remember I would just like fake it till you make it, like feel good motions. Like, oh, if I pretend be happy, I will be happy. But I wasn't dealing with underneath emotions. And they were just brewing, just a brewing. And they hang out under the surface until you acknowledge them and allow them to leave. So when there's a disappointment, it's okay. Feel frustrated, feel angry, feel whatever it is. Like I tell my kids, though, do it in a safe manner. Don't hurt other people or yourself or things around you. Do it in a healthy way. Feel it, though. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. And then let it go because it no longer serves you. You're allowed to mourn those ideas that you had that are no longer able to happen. You're allowed to have sadness about having this idea that something was going to happen and now it's not. It's okay to feel. Just allow it to move through your body instead of staying in your body. Because what could have happened with my summer is this. I could have pretended that I wasn't disappointed. I could have been like, washed it under the surface. I could have just, there's a couple things going to happen. So this is scenario one. I could have just pushed it down like I used to. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Like, and then I would have looked for something like, okay, so we can't have fires. Like, and then I'd sugarcoat it and try and fill it with positivity and look on the bright side. And I would have just pushed down all that crap that I was feeling. All the sadness, the frustration. Could have pushed it down and pretended I was happy about the situation. And moved along. And things would have been good for a while. I'm sure things would have looked peachy on the outside. But inside, I would have been still sad and disappointed. And then at some point, somebody would have said something about a fire, and I may have burst into tears or got really angry, or I could have lost it on somebody, anybody. That's not what happened. Or what else I could have done is I could have held on to that emotion. I would have been like, oh, what? We can't do this? Because here's the honest truth. That was only one disappointment. We had others, like the fire ban and everything, was one disappointment. And not that I was mad at anybody setting these boundaries, by the way, or this ban, because I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't be having fires. Like, I understood why, but I was still disappointed and frustrated. But anyway, so that wasn't my only disappointment that summer. So it was really good to get one out of the way first and just get into a routine of letting go of disappointments, feeling and letting go. Anyway, so what I could have done is I could have been mad and frustrated and be like, well, if we can't have fires, I'm just not going to have fun this summer. And I could have become a victim of this fire ban. I could have been so frustrated, so sad, so disappointed that I could have ruined my whole summer. My kids' summer, letting one disappointment run the whole course of what our summer was going to look like. But luckily that didn't happen either. What did happen is I felt. I cried. I shared my feelings with my husband. I talked it out. And I was like, the exact same thing I just said is like, I understand why we're having this fire ban, but I'm still frustrated. And I was talking it out. I cried it out. Possibly even screamed it out at points. Journaling comes in really handy here. Letting, it all out. And then I released it. It's like these feelings no longer serve me. It's like I'm going to let this go so I can enjoy, the other things of the summer. So I felt it. I let it go and I focused on the things I had control over for one. And two, what else? It was one thing, right? You might be thinking I'm crazy that I was feeling so emotional about the fire ban. Anyways, I'm just sharing how it went down. It might be something else in your life that makes you feel frustrated, sad, and disappointed. But for me, this is what it was. It was one thing. So I felt it. I let it go. And then I focused on the things that I did still have in my life. That we had summer holidays. I had time with my kids at home and things like that. So I felt it though. And I let it all out. I shared. I cried. And then I moved forward. Because we're allowed to feel. We're allowed to be disappointed. And we're allowed to be frustrated when plans change. But please try not to let it ruin your life. Or not even ruin, run your life. Don't let it run your life. Don't let one disappointment set the tone for your week, your month, or your year. You are in control of how your day, your week, your month, your year unfolds. Will there be disappointments? Oh, yeah. Like I said, I had more than one in the summer. Maybe I'll share more of those later. But having that first disappointment was like, okay. And then the second one wasn't I felt it. And I, just kind of eventually they rolled off. They just, you feel them. It's kind of the more you do something, the more flowy it gets. Did I not feel disappointed in those things? Of course I did, but I still felt them. And, you move along a little further or a little faster, feel, release, let go, and focus on what you do have amazing in your life. Life is going to have disappointments. Life is going to throw us crazy curveballs. Life is not I think I even said in this episode, we can have a schedule. We can have a plan. Oh, actually, I think it was last episode. Sorry, guys. We can have a schedule. We can have a plan. But life has its own ideas and things are happening. We're not, I have this control issue and I've been working on it. And it's, we have certain controls in our lives and some we don't. So it's having these ideas and making plans, but lovingly adjusting as life goes on and throws us things and, points us in a different direction and a new direction, and feeling the feelings as we go along. Not bury them, but feel them and let them go. Because like I said, if we hang on to them, even if we just bury them and we're pretending they're not there, they're there, and they will explode at possibly the worst time possible. I went through my life where I didn't cry for a few years. I don't even know if I cried in private. I had no tears. And I definitely didn't cry in public or near friends or anybody. I would always cry by myself. I was really ashamed of crying. Now, it's good. I'm letting my feelings out. Crying is good. I still have anger and I have emotions that I feel. I feel them. I'm a very, very emotional person. And for years, I pretended that I wasn't, that I was always happy, carefree. And that really did a number to the relationships in my life, the people I love, my family members. Because then I would usually explode on them, especially my family, because I felt most comfortable around them. And it can take a number on your body, on things like that. And I felt so ashamed for feeling anything but happy. But the truth is, we have these other emotions. We're not always happy, carefree, happy-go-lucky. Does it feel good to be happy? Yes. But if we don't work on the emotions underneath the surface, our disappointments, anything else that pops up, our frustrations, our anger, they're still going to be there. You're just going to look happy on the outside and not so happy on the inside. And then that can feel lonely, or that's where depression can come in. Other feelings, other things can show up. Diseases in our body, things like that. So, and with all this, please try to feel through your feelings. It's actually quite fun that life has given me two very emotional children, myself, as well. And every day, I have to help them also feel big emotions in a healthy, loving way. It's very important to do it in a loving way, safe and loving and healthy way. Because they can really take over. I've seen this world where people are taking out their anger, their frustrations in unhealthy, unloving ways. So I just want to remind you, try your most loving way to feel in a healthy, loving way. Yesterday, my daughter had some emotions and she actually ran away down the street. And it was not very safe. Like, luckily, apparently, she said she looked both ways before crossing the road. She's 7 turning 8, so this time is coming where she has to be able to cross the road on her own and things like that. But still having those feelings. And then I find her kicking this free stand for newspapers. And it's like, this is not our property. This is not your thing. And you're taking it out on somebody else. So I didn't get mad at her. It was having these conversations. It's like, let's be safe. Let's take it. I definitely was a kid that I pounded my mattress, my pillow. I took it out on things that wasn't going to hurt somebody else, that wasn't going to hurt somebody else's property. It's very, very important to feel, get it out. And so if you're dealing with your children too, have these conversations with them so they know too, it's okay to feel. It's okay to work through them. It's okay to be angry. Just in a loving, healthy way that doesn't harm themselves or others, including and this goes for anybody listening. So again, disappointments happen. It's okay to feel the disappointment. Just remember to lovingly, work through them, feel them, and let them go. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, loving, amazing day. Bye for now.